Hello, and welcome to the Hilariously Unemployed podcast. I'm your host and still your favorite opportunity seeker, Dana Duckworth, aka the Big Speaker. I'm so excited to be back with y'all. I know I took a little break, but it's because your girl was booked and busy. I have been in a different place literally every week since August the 23rd, and it has been very exhausting, but so worth it. I've seen so many people, met so many people, gained so many connections, networked like crazy, had some amazing opportunities. I've been speaking, and now it's time to get back to my passion for people and really focus on those who have been impacted by layoffs or bouts of unemployment and those who are seeking their next opportunity. So last week, I had the pleasure of attending the Black Men in Tech conference in Fort Lauderdale. If you all follow the show, you know that I had the founder of Black Men in Tech, Cam Ward, join me. And on that show, he told me I was coming to thrive. And I went to thrive, y'all. Not only did I go to the conference, but I also hosted a session about career setbacks and layoff strategies. It was really powerful for me to be on a panel talking about this work that I've become so passionate about because of my own situation, right? And I was joined by Ashley Parker and Shaquan, Virgil, and they told their stories and how they're impacted, what they're doing now. Shaquan has got an amazing role at Amazon now, but he talks about it so honestly and the challenges that he really faced. Parker talked about her story of being a recruiter at Microsoft and that being like a dream job for her and what it was like to be impacted and lose that piece of your identity. I know I've shared previously that I find myself ingrained in the fabric of any organization that I serve. So losing that role is like losing a piece of you. But thankfully for her and myself, we found our own brands, our own lanes, and now we are whole. We're no longer a piece of anyone's organization. Y'all, I have so many guests that are going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks just because of that conference. I met Jackie from Texio, who's this amazing woman who has a podcast called Inclusive AF. If you want to check her out, she's going to be one of my guests. She's already told me so many amazing things that are going to help my process as a podcaster to make sure I'm delivering the best content to you all. I cannot wait to share my new friends with y'all. I'm just so happy. But enough about me. Let's talk about why we're really here. We're still in a space where we're seeing those announcements on LinkedIn, on Facebook. People are open to work. There has been no shortage of people who have been impacted by layoffs, acquisitions, changes in management. So many things have been happening recently that I cannot log on without seeing at least 2 to 3 people who are open to work. And this is not just one specific industry. We know tech was hit really hard. We know DEI practitioners had a go of it, myself included. We saw a lot of HR roles kind of be eliminated, but it is spreading the gamut of all types of employment. So I just want to say that always be looking for your next opportunity, even if you are in a space where you feel so happy, so secure, so safe. Just know that there are going to be times where things change in your career. And like people like to say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. In the words of Matthew from Young Black HR, always be applying, y'all. Okay. Keep your head on the swivel for any new roles that may come along. All right, y'all, enough of my big speaker rant because I cannot wait to get this guest on the show. When I talk about me turning my pain into a passion project and really focusing on helping others, Jay Jones is doing the work of helping the job seekers, and I can't wait no more to get him on the show. So let me add him to the stage. Jay.
Hey, how are you? Glad to be here. Oh, you dropped off. I can't hear you.
Say hello and
Good,
welcome
good, good.
to Hilarious.
Hey, everybody, how are you?
I'm sure they're doing great, Jay. I'm so excited to have you on the show. One, to tell your own story of how you were impacted, but two, to talk about what you've been doing in the meantime to help yourself and others who are in such a vulnerable position. So,
Sure.
like we always do at this time, how long have you been hilariously unemployed?
I've been giggling since December of 2023. So,
That's a long time. You laughing.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure some abs building up in there because it's a long time. So, talk to us a little bit about your journey. I know you're a copywriter, right? So, let's talk about your previous role and what happened there in regards to your layoff.
So yeah, I worked at an ad agency and I was there for nearly 3 years. And what happened was a big client decided to go with another agency, and then with the downturn in the industry, I was affected along with several other people. And so, that put me back into the job market. And, right away, I noticed that there were scams, but it was a different kind of level to them because it was more sophisticated, more frequent. And I noticed that whenever I would use a certain hashtag on LinkedIn or whatever, it would trigger a lot of interest, but that interest would be fake. And so initially I would block people and just move on, but I thought that there are so many people that are entering the job market against their will that to have these sorts of scams persist, it would be irresponsible if I didn't do anything to help stop it. And so that's how I got started in combating these scammers. And so I like to say that if you're a bad business, I'm bad for your business.
Okay, I know that's right. So now we're going to talk about how you've been deemed the profiler, right? But first, let's go back to your employment journey. So you said since December of
Mhm.
2023. How have things been, and how have you been managing the balance of not being full-time employed?
I've found some contract work here and there to help. So, that's been a blessing. And, from there, just, continuing to be active and reach out to different organizations, businesses, business owners to, offer my services and help them however I can. And just, continuing to stay diligent.
What state are you located in, Jay?
I'm in Illinois.
Okay. So I've talked to a lot of people from different places. Raleigh, in particular, just comes to mind because their unemployment process for benefits is one that is terrible. Have you had a journey with unemployment trying to receive benefits or resources since that time?
Yeah, I did, but it similar story. It just wasn't the best experience, and so I just had to continue to rely on my own abilities to network and reach out to people to find work that way.
Yeah, a lot of people find that one, it's a headache to go through unemployment, right? You have
Hmm.
to jump through all of these hoops. And then two, the income that they provide you is nowhere near what you need in order to survive. It's literally something to like, put a band-aid on a very large wound. And it doesn't it doesn't really help you. It pays like for me, it's I think here in Virginia it was like 385, maybe 375. Would pay my electric bill. We got light.
Yeah, it's pitiful. It needs to be changed, but one fight at a time.
Absolutely, one fight at a time. But it's these big things, and people think about, okay, you're impacted, you're laid off, and it's just a personal thing. But there are so many bigger and larger factors and larger infrastructures that really have an impact on how people are able to find their next role, be successful, or at least make it. At
Hmm.
least survive in a time where they don't have that full time gig. Okay. So, how have you and your family been since being impacted? I know when I first came across your story, you were talking about, of course, you have a beautiful family and how challenging that can be. I know I'm a mother of two teenage boys that eat me out of house and home. So, it's like, I'm got to make bank.
No, I understand it. It's still a daily struggle, daily challenges because like I had mentioned in the post that went viral a little while ago. Wife had blood pressure issues and issues with dizziness and things like that, so where she can't fully function in the home, and so I'm jumping back and forth between looking for work, taking care of her, taking care of the kids, and daughter just turned 10 months, so she's doing better, but still is up throughout the night. So a typical night for me is go to bed at about 12:30 ish, and she's up at 1:32 needing to eat, and then 3:34, 6:30, and so on. So, I go because I have to go. So
Yeah.
that's how it is.
You are doing it and you are making it look well, and you are still taking time away from your life and all the things that you have going on. It's so easy to be selfish in a time like this, right? But
Hmm.
for yourself and for myself, we kind of turn that hurt outward and use it to empower other people. So
Hmm.
let's get into it. I'm not going to waste no more time. How have you become the profiler? Explain to the hilarious, like, who the profiler is. I like to say the LinkedIn detective, the job scam finder. Okay,
Hmm.
will seek and destroy. Tell us how you've gotten into this role of being it's like the Dateline NBC. You like the Keith Morris of job scams. You are uncovering what's happening.
Um, as crude as not as crude as I can be, but it pissed me off to be honest. And I use that anger to be productive and help people, because not everybody is able to see certain things, and that's not because they're less intelligent or anything. It's just that they're so bombarded with all of the responsibilities that they have, because when you're suddenly laid off, the trauma that happens to you mentally isn't often discussed. It's
Mhm.
like in one fell swoop you get a message, or an email, if that you're laid off, see, we don't need your services anymore. And then you're thinking, how can I feed this person, this person, this person, pay this and that? God forbid you get sick or something and you don't have medical insurance. So it's a lot that goes on. And so I thought, if I could, I'm one man, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't use that as an excuse, because, one man and one woman can do many things. And so
Mhm.
from there, I decided to document how they do it, what they do, who they target, why they target them, and the different ways that they do target them. And, from there, just exposing the fake resume writers, the fake companies, the fake job postings, anybody that communicates with you that's overly complimentary in the beginning, like, you're such a fabulously wonderful, exuberant professional, and I can't believe you're on the market, so I have this gift just for you. That's a scam.
Gift, yeah, that's definitely a hook.
So yeah, I took it upon myself to document that. I've taken down over 3,500 fake jobs, and over, I would say by now, 2,000 fake recruiters, and a couple of fake companies in the wake of that too. So, not boasting, but it's proof to people that if you do something and you stick with it, you will get good results.
Okay, so you gave me a lot and I want to break it down. Like, what was your first encounter with someone who either had a fake job posting or it was a scam recruiter?
Uh, Sadly, the most common job areas that they focus on are data entry,
Mhm.
copywriting, and anything in relation to customer service. And so I got a contract writer opportunity. They said it was fully remote. You get to get the salary you want, X, Y, and Z benefits. But it was like they wanted to see my resume, and they wanted to have an interview, but it was via phone. And actually, no, it was over email. And they were like, yeah, we saw your resume and we want to offer you the job right now. And this was email number 2. So I was like, wait a minute, this is nuts. And so I asked a few pointed questions, and then I didn't get any more responses.
What do you think their end goal was to get from you in that? Like, we're giving you this unbelievable offer. We want you to start right away. Was it to get your information? Was it to just get your hopes up? Or what do you think they're seeking from people when they do this?
It's deeply psychological, because they know that people are desperate. They know that people really need something fast, and so they capitalize on that by offering the dream position that is exactly what you want, and it's really fast. And what it does is it gets your guard down, and then from there you start sharing information, because you're like, like I said before, you're thinking of all these things you have to take care of. And so you submit your information, and then from there you're like, yes, it's fast tracked. And then you don't hear anything until you get a notification from your bank or a notification from the credit bureaus that you have a charge that you didn't make, because they stole your identity, or they'll collect your information to sell it so they can make money that way.
Yeah, it's really scary. And those who are in this role are already so vulnerable and looking for that glimmer of hope. So it's sad to hear that people prey on that. I have not received anything like online, but I've gotten text and WhatsApp messages saying, "Hey, we have this role for you. We wanted to reach out. We saw that you applied." I'm like, I haven't applied anywhere. I don't even know what role this is. This doesn't even make sense. I don't even know how you know my information. So people are coming at job seekers from literally every angle, and it's heartbreaking to see people who are impacted by that. So tell me about some other stories where you found that the recruiter maybe wasn't really a recruiter.
Well, I mean, I've encountered companies. The most famous example would be 10 Star Resume Limited. That was an organization that pretended to be resume writers. They pretended to be certified, and they pretended to, help people with their resumes and also get them hired at different places with these resume services. But what they would do is they would steal photos of attractive women across the internet, across the globe, and use them and pretend that these were the actual people that were communicating with you. And so
Mm,
from there, they would get your information and, like I said before, sell it. And then, fake recruiters, what they'll do is they'll steal real job descriptions from real companies. So, like, if you look into the description, you might be thrown off because it's actually a real description. But when you dig deeper, you can see that this recruiter is not a real person. There's no outside information on them anywhere. And in the age of AI and technology, it's really rare to find somebody who is only on LinkedIn solely. And
Yeah.
so that's a red flag. Anything on WhatsApp, I would say no to. And the other point you mentioned of being contacted about a job you have no idea you applied to, they're
Mhm.
counting on that because you apply to so many places that you forget where you applied. And so they're taking advantage of you just being like, oh yeah, maybe I did apply to there because it fits, my experience with what they're saying. And so they use that to get an inroads with you.
Yeah, they do. They are looking for just any response so that they can, try to weasel their way in. I know for me, like if I don't know your number, then I'm not going to enter, and the text is going directly to spam. But they look real when they come through. If you are a person who's job seeking, like you're
Hmm.
signed up to so many different websites, you're connected to so many different people, and you're really trying to work the process. So if you get a message come through, the last thing on a lot of people's mind is, oh, this is probably not real, because we want to believe that people are innately good, but people are out here being predators, and they're using attractive women's photos. So if y'all see my photo somewhere that's not that's telling you you got a job, baby, I ain't hiring. Okay, this is the one on the show. When I do have the money to hire, y'all will know, because I will come to you live and direct via video, just so you know. It's really sad. You gave me a preview of something that was happening that I really want women to be aware of, because it's pretty scary. Can you
Hmm.
talk to me more about that story that you shared?
About 4 this morning, I was tagged in a post about this guy called Joe Anthony, and that's his actual name. And what he does is he's been on LinkedIn, opening conversations with women and using, a legitimate business interest. And then once they schedule a meeting with him, the camera starts off where it's off, and then once they turn it on, he's fully undressed. And he's done this to 2 women now that I know about, and he was working on a third one, I believe, because he was making comments on a certain woman's profile there. And so, it's a different kind of scam, and it's a more perverse one because he's wasting their time. He's scamming them into a meeting, and the only reason he's doing it is to do that. And when the woman called him a pervert, he just laughed and said, "Ha ha, thanks." So he doesn't take it serious. But in the post of the woman who brought this to light, I tagged, because he's in Australia, so I tagged the Attorney General in Australia. I tagged the federal government in Australia, the police in Australia, because this is a crime, and so
Yeah.
he should be fully held responsible. And the issue that came up was there was a woman that he did this to 6 days before, and she reported this on a popular social networking professional website, and
Mhm.
it was deemed that he didn't violate any policies because he didn't physically do it on that website. He did it separately on a video chat, but he used that website. You all know which one it is. And he used that as the playground, so to speak, to get them offline.
That's really scary to think that you are going into a professional meeting and to have someone not be professional in that meeting in a way that is, for a woman, I know she had to be completely mortified. So safety in person is just as important as it is with safety online. When people are reaching out to you with these opportunities as a job seeker, I know you're doing so many things, but on top of everything you're doing is also your job to do the research about the companies, the people, and the connections that you've made to make sure that you are safe. Whatever platform it's on, whoever is reaching out, you have to make sure that you are safe so that you're not preyed upon. What do you think job seekers should be aware of outside of that very strong case that you just shared with me? What are some other red flags and things that they should be on the lookout for to prevent being targeted by scammers?
I mean, it's an extensive list. I mean, I hate to, rattle it off because job seekers deal with enough, but you have to watch out for profiles that were recently created, like within the past, week or a couple of months, if there's no activity, or if there's constant activity, but it's constant reposts of other viral posts on LinkedIn and whatnot, because they'll use those to make themselves look legitimate. They'll also connect with legitimate profiles and people that have a great reputation, because how the algorithm on LinkedIn works is the more connections you have that are accepted, the more your profile is deemed trusted. And so the more trusted you look, then the more you'll appear in other people's feeds and the more ways you can actually connect with people. And one of the common things you'll see is people say, let's connect, but these are either bots or scammers. And the reason they say let's connect is because there's a weekly limit of invitations you can send to people. And so when they say let's connect, that means that they've already spammed that number and they need you to connect with them.
Yeah.
In addition to that, like I said, if it's an attractive person's picture, not to say that there are no attractive people in recruiting and whatnot, but if it's like something that really looks fake, like just trust your gut. Like never talk against yourself. If you doubt it, then investigate it to either prove yourself right or wrong, but never just be like, oh, that's just me thinking too much.
Yeah, you're not overthinking it. This is your livelihood. This is going to be your income. And it's really your time. If you're wasting your time on something that's not real, just trying to prevent that because there is so much time that goes into being a job seeker. I was telling people last weekend at the conference, like being a job seeker is a full-time job. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it is literally a full-time job. You are tracking everything that you are doing. You're using different softwares, different systems. You have alerts set up. It really requires that you are tethered to your computer and working hard to try to get your next role because you have to stand out in a crowd of, unfortunately, so many because everybody's being impacted by those things where our jobs are no longer as secure as they once were.
Mm-hmm.
So, what things have really propelled you in your own personal job search outside of making sure that you're eliminating all of the scammers that are in this process? What about you?
Talking with a variety of people that are trusted, because the best way you can be informed is to get information from multiple sources. I've talked to a lot of recruiters, a lot of resume writers, a lot of career coaches that have offered to help me in my job search, and coalescing all of that information, because some people will say the same thing, but a lot of people will say completely different things from the other person. And it's not that the first or other people were wrong, it's just that there's a different angle and a different perspective that you would need, or I would need in this instance, to best position myself for any opportunities that come along. So like I say, you would, as a job seeker, need to definitely talk to as many trusted people as possible, and really only apply to roles that you truly fit, because what you what you do when you just apply to any role that you think you fit and you didn't actually look at, you'll just further frustrate and lower your own morale, because you get these constant rejections. But if you focus on the things you can do really well, and optimize your profile and all those things, then that puts you in the best position. It's not guaranteed an interview, and sadly it's not guaranteed a job, but it definitely elevates your chances.
Are you inclined to continue being the profiler?
Yeah, yeah. No, because because it angers me. Like anytime I think I'm exhausted, or not think, anytime I'm exhausted or frustrated, or I think like how massive these scams are, I remember why I started. And I
Mhm,
remember that if I stop, then they're going to keep going. Ever since, I exposed one company, I've had at least over 1,000 fake profiles come and look at mine on LinkedIn. Pretty much every day, I get about 200 to 300 bots visit my account, and I can tell that they're bots the way the URL is written.
mhm.
And I go through it, just block, 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 block. They come back every day because it's if somebody's doing wrong, they don't like being exposed. And so,
Yeah.
the old saying, hit dogs holler. So
Mhm.
they're hollering right now.
So you become a little bit of a target. They're like, "Oh, the profiler, we're trying to get into his LinkedIn, because he's over here exposing us," which is sad. It's like, you got exposed, quit what you're doing and keep it pushing. So for them to still be trying to be in your network and probably trying to see what it is that you are exposing so that they're ahead of the game. I know that your LinkedIn posts have been getting lots of traction because you are a copywriter, right? So you are writing what feels like full exposés on these companies with graphics, with like there's the carousel, there's photo if you're a person who is a visual learner, there is copy there for you if you want to read about it. You're really going in depth with this. Like, what is I know that you're angry, but like, how did you become this profiler? Like, because I would see, somebody being scammed or a scam profile and be like, all right, let me block it and move on.
Hmm.
But you have created what has become a whole community because people are so thankful that you're doing this.
Um, I mean, I've always been this way. I mean, as a kid, I like Batman the animated series, and I was always attracted to like detective things. And
Mm-hmm.
so, early on, I learned to assess angles and how people will approach whether it's good or bad. And so, it's always been in me. And years ago, I started a novel I need to finish, and that novel is called The Profiler because I was thinking, how is it I could actually create something that's authentic and that helps people, but is also part of like building a brand, because they say you have to build a brand in these times to truly stand out. But I wasn't going to be fake or go along with what other people do just to say things that are bloviated or not real. I thought if I'm going to do something, it's going to be real, and if it resonates, then great. If it doesn't, I'm still going to do it. And so that's how the profiler came along. And you know it's not an overstatement when I say that these scammers hate you, job seekers. They hate you because you're in a great position. You're in a place where you have a lot more opportunities than they might, and so at best they can only be your shadow. They can only copy you, and they get angry about that. And when they rob you, they laugh because they get to see the pain that they cause and set you back in life. But that's only because they know that they can't do it themselves legitimately. And so that's where it comes from, the drive to stop them, because people have literally died behind this. People have taken their lives because they gotten rejection after rejection after rejection. And at a certain point, people break. And if I can stop that by streamlining your course to finding the things that are real, then
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'll do.
Yeah, I don't think people talk about the mental health aspect of being a person who is job seeking, and the toll that it can take on you both mentally and physically. There are people that get really low. I mean, it's sad. It is. When I was looking for a 9 to 5, it's like, oh, you feel like there is nothing for you. So it can cause you to feel really low, but just know that there is hope and there is light at the end of that tunnel. We will all get paid some way, somehow, but keep on pushing. And people like myself and the profiler are here to help you along the way. I'm gonna keep telling y'all stories and laughing, and he's gonna keep exposing all the scammers.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because a few of them, the real dumb ones, they'll be like, "What is your problem? Like, who do you like?" This one guy, he said, "Who do you think you are, the SEO of LinkedIn?" Like, that doesn't even make sense. And then somebody else in that same group, that story, it was called the Parasitic Eight. And I uncovered these 8 groups of profiles that actually really linked into 10-Star Resume Limited, the one that I exposed many months back. And I found that there was a connection to the leader of that organization. And, the other question the guy asked, he was like, "Is your brain bad?" And blah, blah, blah. And, you know, the depth of the scamming is they sent somebody to me to, pretend to be a mole against that organization. So they sent this person, the name of the profile was Nasira Amir, and it was this woman who would feed me information about this organization. And she says what they did is they buy these accounts, and from there they use those accounts to scam people. And she was acting like she was helping me, but
Mhm.
really the image was of a famous Pakistani actress, and I knew that after the very first message that was sent to me. But I played along, and I was like, okay, thank you for helping me. It's
Mhm.
like giving me water, and I'm already drinking a bottle of water. You're not giving me anything. And so from there, I let her think that she was actually, on my side, and I was actually going along with it. And then I was just building information, and then, dropped the case against her. It was actually a guy. I don't know who it is, but it's a guy over there in Pakistan, doing wrong to people. And, tried to play on my heartstrings and be like, "You're going to cause problems for my family. And, you don't know how dangerous this is. Like, you can leave the post, but just take my picture out," trying to emotionally, abuse me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, no, because how many people have you scammed? How many people have you robbed,
Mhm.
pretending to be this attractive woman? And it was the other thing that the person said. They were like, "I've never actually scammed anybody." But people messaged me like, "I got a message from that person today." They just lie. That's all they know how to do.
They just lie. Well, brother, finish that book because this is definitely the second act of that book. And these are the stories that like people like me, I listen to podcasts all day, every day. And I listen to ones about scam as well as like true crime. And these are the stories that people need to hear because it's going to make them more savvy and safer. All right, Jay, if I didn't use my platform for anything else, I want to use it to make sure that people know exactly what it is you're looking for in your next role and what they be getting by working with someone so attentive to details like yourself.
You get somebody that's, honest, trustworthy, the ability to, find the uncommon in the common. As a copywriter, you have to break down briefs and you have to, find a way to merge different competing interests. So, they want the account people to be happy. The client wants to save a lot of money, and,
Mhm.
production wants to make sure that it's, a great production, but it's not like overly expensive, and creative wants to push the envelope and do things that have never been seen before. So, that's what I do each time out. You know, a great teammate, great person that you can rely on to deliver quality work. Um, I'm just ready to work. I'm a senior copywriter. I'm ready for any opportunities that come along. You can find me on linkedin.com /Jones Copy. And,
Mhm.
I'm ready.
So they can work with you directly or they can be reaching out to provide you with your next role. What would the title of your ideal role be? And if you have a dream company, go ahead and say it.
Not necessarily a dream company, because, what I love to do is meaningful work.
Mhm.
Um, so when it comes to titles, I mean, senior copywriter, ACD of copy, I'm not, big on titles, but, in that wheelhouse is where I'm at.
Mhm.
Lately, people have been telling me I should try to work for the FBI or something.
I mean, you are a detective. You the profiler. I feel like if you could run this down this way, you could run a lot of things down. I got a couple people I need you to do some background checks on.
I'll look into them. Yeah.
Jay, I cannot thank you enough for the work that you have been doing to make a safe space for those who are so vulnerable right now. I'm very excited that we got to do this episode. And I hope that people see this, hear the warnings, and also know that there are people like Jay Jones who are out here looking out for you all. I can't thank you enough. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the Hilarious besides the where to connect with you? Of course, you all see Jay Jones, linkedin.com/n/Jones Copy. You can work with him directly. Any other place you want them to connect with you, or any last words for our job seekers and my audience of Hilarious?
Yeah, you can find my book of work. It's jonesdoyoucopy.com. So pretty simple URL to remember. And, like I said, I'm on LinkedIn, and anytime you need help, just reach out.
All right, y'all heard that. Put that bat signal in the air whenever you see somebody scamming, something going wrong, it's a little fishy. You know who's got your back. Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. I've been the big speaker. This has been another episode of the Hilariously Unemployed. Continue to shine your light bright and stay safe on these interwebs, y'all. Bye.